When I remember that night, it was just extremely cold. And to look down at this gentleman's feet and see that he had no socks, and when he told me he never had a pair of shoes, it was just, my heart went out to him. I ran ahead of him and I went to Skechers and I asked him, listen, I don't care what it costs, this gentleman needs a pair of shoes. And they were able to help me out. It was cold and he couldn't put, I didn't want him doing it himself. And so I just knelt down, I didn't think anything of it, and I just helped him put on the socks and the shoes there.
And that simple act of kindness from Officer Larry DePrimo went around the world. It's been seen millions and millions of times right now. It gives us the opportunity, Cokie Roberts, with just a couple minutes left here, to identify some things that are giving you hope in our political world.
In the political world, I'm just back from Vietnam, where I was doing some work with Save the Children, and eventually we get it right. It takes a long time sometimes, but we've gotten it right there. We're doing wonderful development work there, we the American people, putting shoes on all kinds of people, and especially on little children who have never had them before.
And Senor.
This week, the Jack Kemp Foundation is having its inaugural conference, and people like Paul Ryan and Marco Rubio are speaking at it. If you look at their speeches, it's all about the war on poverty. It's all about strengthening civil society. You look at these ideas, I shared a couple of them with a Democratic friend of mine. I didn't tell him who the author of the ideas were, and he says, this is something we could do. So I actually think, strangely, there's a war on poverty campaign that Democrats and Republicans could find common ground on.
Some good news.
What gives me hope is we had an election. It was hard fought, and there was ideology. And in the end, the American people basically, to me, made a statement that they believe in government. They believe government can still help solve problems. And they believe it's government's job to focus particularly on those who are most in need.
Look, I agree. The American people, I think, told us they want us to work together. They kept power divided. And, the great thing about our system is over time, the will of the American people, it always works through it. You got some checks, you got some balances, but in the end, politicians do what people tell them to do. And I think they've told us to work together. I believe we will.
I think you got a public employee going above and beyond the call of duty to help a homeless person. Just goes to make me think that, our government workers are pretty good people.
No question about that. One of the things I was encouraged by looking back at the election, we actually saw that young people stayed engaged this time around. Their share of the electorate actually went up over 2008, and that is a hopeful sign if we have continued participation going forward into the future. And those were all fantastic contributions. Thank you all very much. Great roundtable. Dan's going to stick around and answer questions all of you at home have tweeted us about the Romney campaign. That's this week's Web Extra.